the post-game show here on the North Carolina A&T Athletics Facebook page, as well as the North Carolina A&T YouTube page, along with Al Swann and Billy Covington. Donal Ware with you. Another tough loss for North Carolina A&T, this time against rival North Carolina Central, 30-16. And it's the second straight loss for the Aggies against North Carolina Central. But again, the second loss of the season. It doesn't get any easier as next week the Aggies travel a little bit up the road to take on Elon.
And as we mentioned earlier, down in today's college game, if you can't effectively throw the football, I don't care what level you're playing, you're going to have a very, very difficult time winning. Now, one of the things that's really puzzling is that before the season started, the coaching staff at A&T thought their playmakers were at the wide receiver position. And they were saying that we got to figure out ways to get the ball to these guys because they are playmakers. And so far this year, they have been unsuccessful in doing so. And it's probably a variety of reasons. Last week, we saw the quarterback making bad decisions. The receivers not getting separation, not getting out of their breaks in a timely manner in terms of having the quarterback ready to throw. And those are things that, that you have to work on during the week. And hopefully we thought we were going to see some improvement tonight, and not to the point that we did, but it's going to be really tough as they get into the league next week in their conference play if they cannot effectively throw the football. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do against Elon next Saturday night.
Ran the football reasonably well, but not in the second half. That's the thing, 156 yards on the ground. Did a little bit better in terms of passing the football. Zach in the second half, Zach Yeager 7-14 for 51 yards, but that Eagle defense was tough. What are some of the adjustments that the Eagles made in the second half to kind of shut that Aggie running game down?
Well, yeah, I think one of the things that the Eagles did in the second half, they didn't have any fear whatsoever of A&T's passing game. So when you're in a situation like that, I mean, you can stack the block. I mean, you can bring one of your safeties down and run defense and don't have to worry about the ball being thrown over their heads. And so I think that's what they did. And also they got really good play by their linebackers. The Eagles linebackers that second half did a very good job. And as we said a couple of times, they used the safety. They brought the safety down inside as part of their run defense, not having to worry about A&T throwing the football. And it really effectively shut that running game down the second half.
Talked about it, Billy, with Davius Richard, but really the run game as a whole was very effective for North Carolina Central. Jamari Taylor, Latrell Collier both had some big runs in addition to Richards' 95 yards rushing or 95 yards on the ground.
When you have a quarterback that can run, it really puts a lot of pressure on your defense. And they had two running backs that I don't know how many yards they picked up yet, but they were certainly effective. But then you throw in the quarterback who gained 96 yards rushing the football. That's tough to beat. But it's just like you indicated, Don. It's back to the drawing board, and I hate to continue to labor on the point, but we are a small football team now, and it is very, very difficult to match up with large offensive linemen when your biggest lineman is 265 or 270, and you just continue to wear it down, and the substitutes that you bring in to give them a breather is even smaller. So that eliminates your ability to stop the run. It also eliminates your ability to put pressure on the quarterback. So we got a ways to go, and let's just hope this week we can effectively work on our passing game, and that may open it up a little bit for us.
My man Chuck Hunt is checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. He says good evening. And Chuck Hunt, I tell you, when it comes to HBCU football and the broadcasts of all of the HBCUs across the country, whether it's Jackson State, whether it's our broadcast, whether it's Grambling, he's listening. So, Chuck, we appreciate you checking in all the way from Monroe, Louisiana. How how can now? Okay, so now you got to go to Elon conference play. We've seen the ineffectiveness of the passing game. Is it a matter of trying to have shorter passes to get more of the receivers catching the ball in short passing situations and running after the catch? Is it a situation where maybe the quarterbacks are looking too far downfield?
Well, I think, personally, Donal, you're going to have to really work on your short passing game for two reasons. One, it enhances your opportunity for completions. And two, it gives both the receivers and your quarterbacks some degree of confidence. Now, one of the things that concerned me tonight was that, and you mentioned it a couple of times during the broadcast, a couple of times Central with a three-man rush were able to get pressure on Jaeger tonight. And that doesn't bode well for your offensive line. Now, we know that the offensive line is supposedly the strength of the team, but when you cannot pass block, it really complicates things. And when the other team can, with a three-man rush, put pressure on your quarterback, it really complicates things. So I think sometimes, going into the game against Elon next week, we have to go back to that old adage, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, and just simplify the passing game. Just short routes over the middle, use the middle of the field, use your tight end. I don't think we've thrown the ball to the tight end at all this year. And just try to simplify things, give your quarterback some confidence, give your receivers some confidence, and then I think that will enhance your running game. But it is definitely a challenge. And, Billy, you brought up something about the size of our defensive line. When you look at some of the teams that we're going to have to play against in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they are huge. They guys 315, 305, 310. And that biggest guy on our defensive line weighs about 265. So, I mean, that's going to be a constant challenge all year. And if you can't generate some type of offense to take some pressure off the defense, it's going to make for a long year, Don. I mean, it's going to be tough. So, not that it can't be done, but it's going to take a lot of hard work.
And then, Billy, defensively, when you look at A&T, I mean, you can look at it. You can look at obviously B.J. Turner's had an impact. He had 10 more tackles today, 9 of those solo.
Mm-hmm.
But again, not much pass rush. I mean, no sacks on Davius Richard. He did what he wanted to do today.
He did, and he had all day to do it. Now, he didn't throw a touchdown, and that's kind of strange for Richards. But the passes that he completed, he had time to complete it. If the first receiver was not open, he had the ability to look for the second and possibly the third receiver. And that has a whole lot of bearing on your passing game when you can pick your third receiver and make a play. And some of the plays that they made, I thought we didn't cover it well. But it's going to be interesting to see how the coach reacts to it this week in practice. But I'm sure that he's going to try to put something together with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach all get together and see if they can come up with some kind of passing game. And with that in mind, we may have a better chance when we ride down 85 to Alamance County next week, take on Elon.
All right, so Orlando says, fellas, y'all do a great job week in and week out. We've got to solve our quarterback play or we are in trouble. Transfer portal for a quarterback now is what he says. Alex says a quarterback needed as soon as possible. Janelle says horrendous performance on both sides of the ball tonight. She wasn't happy with the quarterback play. I'll put it like that. And so everybody, that's sort of the talk around Aggie Nation. And we've been saying this it's the quarterback play. And you have the I don't know about if you can go to the transfer portal now. You have the quarterbacks you have 4. Someone's got to emerge and be that person to complement the running game.
And Don, it's not all on the quarterback. I mean, the passing game is predicated on timing. And as we said a couple of times during the game, it's evident when you see that quarterback, when he drops back, when he plants that what we call that plant foot, when he's ready to throw, if the receivers haven't even come out of their break yet, I mean, there's nowhere for him to throw the football. And also, a couple of times, the receivers are not getting separation. And when they don't get separation, it really tightens those windows up. And it takes a really big-time quarterback to throw a receiver open. And we're just not there yet. So that's why I suggest that they go back to, the short passing game, run timing routes, and maybe three-step drops on the part of the quarterback, get the ball out of his hands quickly, give him some passes that he can complete, so he and the receivers both can build some degree of confidence. But as in this day's game, in football today, I don't care what level you're on, if you cannot effectively throw the football, you got some problems. And so that's something that they're going to have to work out as we start the conference play next week against Elon.
Alex Hines presents HBCU Sports, says, good evening, everyone from CIAA land, and the Aggies got pushed around in the trenches. Didn't say, you're not saying anything wrong there, Alex. Now, Jermaine asks, what are your thoughts on coaching 2 games in? I would say no. Vincent Brown is fine.
Right.
You can't tell anything from 2 games in, really. He's working with what was given to him in part. So no, I think he's fine, and we'll see. But I think he's doing the job right now based upon the circumstances.
I agree 100%, Donal. I mean, 2 games in, it's hard to put it entirely on the coach. I mean, it's a team effort, and I think they recognize what the problems are, and it's just a matter of trying to get these problems solved. And going back last week in terms of quarterback play, I mean, we saw Brickhandler make some really horrendous decisions, and he was probably pretty much on his way to doing the same thing the night before they made the quarterback change. So I don't think the problems are insolvable. They just have got to get to work and identify the problem, get to work. Again, maybe some short passes, some timing passes, give both quarterback and receiver some confidence, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands as quickly as possible, and extend it from there. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do when we head down the road to Elon next week.
Yep. Xavier says, not a surprise on the results with the quarterback play. I see 4-7 season this year. Also, great job on the game coverage. We appreciate that, Xavier. Brian says no creativity in the offense, and the defensive line got 0 pressure. Janelle says not so good play calling tonight. Defensive line had no pressure. Chuck says it's early in the season, which your team can gel, having a first season head coach, new system, and a different players, which the transfer portal brings in players. So, I think that's what we're saying. You can't say really, it's too early. You can't really say anything about the coaching staff. Now, some may say the play calling wasn't great, as a couple people have said. But again, they'll as the season progresses, I think they'll get into it, and we'll see. I think it's a little bit too early right now for that. But again, we're going to get ready to wrap it up. We appreciate all of the comments. This is something we're going to do each and every week, the post game show right here on the Aggie Athletics Facebook page, as well as the Aggie Athletic YouTube page. Al, any last words before we get out of here?
Well, just hopefully we can have a great week of practice. We didn't have any significant injuries tonight. Again, from a positive standpoint, the running of Christian was really impressive. And get to that drawing board next week and give us an effective passing game going into Elon. Billy?
Same thing I was going to say, Donald. I think Al hit it on the head. Practice. Of course, Al, one thing I wanted to ask you, most of our passes tonight was in the pocket. Maybe some rollout passes, short stuff might be effective.
All right. So again, you can keep the comments coming for now. And again, we're getting great participation from this. Is something we decided to do this year. So we listen, we enjoy Aggie Nation. We appreciate the support. The team appreciates your passion for their play, and they're going to get this thing right. They're going to get it turned around. And we're only 2 games into the season, and so we'll see how things continue to play out. So keep your questions coming. And again, this is something we're going to do each and every week. Spread the word about the post-game show here on the A&T Athletics Facebook page, as well as the A&T YouTube page. Thank you to Des back at the studios of the Aggie Sports Radio Network for all of his outstanding work. On the Billy Covington, Donal Ware saying so long for now from Jewish Stadium on the campus of North Carolina A&T State University. The post-game show, your final score: North Carolina Central 30, North Carolina A&T 16. You've been listening to Aggie Football on the Aggie Sports Radio Network.